football?
Not much.
I just saw you make that kick. You think you can do it again?
Yeah.
Go and get a uniform, report to the scrubs.
Why?
Because I think you'd make a football player.
I doubt it.
Try it anyway.
All right, if you insist.
Now, wait a minute. What's your name?
Gipp. George Gipp. What's yours?
When Ronald Reagan, a former sports announcer, heard about the part of Gipp, he was told by studio executives he would have to scramble for the part.
All I wanted was to play George Gipp. And one of them said to me, well, you'd better talk to someone about that because they've tested 10 people already for the role of Gipp. Well, I rushed up to the producer's office and told him. Well, he said, you know, Gipp was the greatest football player that ever lived. And he said, Oh, I said, wait a minute, you're trying to tell me that I should weigh about 210 pounds and be 6.5 feet tall? Well, he said he was a great football player, and I said, and he weighed 5 pounds less than I weigh right now. I rushed home. I went down in the trunk and I came up with my college pictures in uniform of playing football in college. And I went back out of the studio and in, and I laid a picture of me down there in the uniform. Well, you know, anyone with the uniform on looks like a football player.
You wouldn't kid me, Rock.
Reagan only had 22 minutes of screen time in the film. One of his scenes became a screen classic.
You all right, kid? Rock. Someday when the team's up against it, breaks are beating the boys. Ask them to go in there with all they've got. Win just one for the Kipper. I don't know where I'll be then, but I'll know about it. I'll be happy.
Reagan made 41 films for Warner Brothers during what was called the Golden Age. At the time, Warner Brothers was like a family. Each year, the studio would celebrate at a dinner, the highlight of which was a blooper reel.
The result that we just couldn't hang on long enough. I think we got 2 110s. I'm not sure, but probably.
Or would you rather hear how I finished a 3-act play with one hand whilst making love to a Maharaja with the... Oh.
When it comes up for air, you find a dozen more going. She'll sacrifice herself to sacrifice somebody to...
Here we are, senor, from soup to lunch.
Holy mackerel, my play opens, I have my fingerprints taken, my hand asked and married. The things that's happened to... Son of a...
What's wrong? Help me, dear God, help me. I'm caught on his mind.
Story of my life. Where do you want me to begin?
Well, I got a pretty good idea, but I can't think of the damn line. I didn't know we were going there.
How did Ewans know we wanted him to take us with Williams?
You know it?
Nuts.
I loved you from the first minute I saw you, and you knew it. You tried to...
Nuts!
You're looking blooming.
Oh, I'm fine. You been getting any lately?
Overtime, you mean?
Oh. You bastard, you.
Oh, son of a gun. You thought I was going to say, son of a bitch, didn't you?
Tonight on TNT.
1944. A new kind of Warner's woman comes to the screen. She's advertised as the only kind of woman for his kind of man.
Anybody got a light?
The man is Bogart. She is Lauren Bacall. Bacall was an actress with a sexy voice who literally blazed her way across the screen. She was discovered by director Howard Hawks, but she was claimed by Bogart.
What'd you do that for?
I'm wondering whether I'd like it.
What's the decision?
I don't know yet. Even better when you help. Sure you won't change your mind about this?
Uh-huh.
This belongs to me and so do my lips. I don't see any difference.
Oh, I do.
Okay. You know you don't have to act with me, Steve. You don't have to say anything and you don't have to do anything. Not a thing. Oh, maybe just whistle. You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow.
Together, both in life and on the screen, Bacall and Bogart became one of Hollywood's most exciting couples. They made 4 pictures together, including The Big Sleep and Key Largo. Key Largo was directed by John Huston, who would make another film with Bogey in 1948, The Treasure of Sierra Madre.
I'll leave him alone.
I told Bogart, this might be a great picture. Bogey said, you're out of your mind. It's a good Western.
You're so dumb, you don't even see the riches you're treading on with your own feet.
The role of the old prospector was played by Walter Huston, John's father. Both father and son won Oscars.
Yeah, don't expect to find nuggets of molten gold. It's rich, but not that rich. And here ain't the place to dig. It comes from someplace further up. Up there. Up there's where we got to go. Up there.
Once upon a time when you talked about a studio, you talked about its back lot, or you talked about what happened on its sound stages. Today it's different, mostly because of men like John Huston, who insisted on shooting The Treasure of the Sierra Madre on location in Mexico. Directors in Hollywood have always wanted to make the world their stage, but the credo, a tree is a tree, shoot it in Griffith Park, kept a lot of the early filmmakers here at home. Jack Warner, who said at the time that The Treasure of the Sierra Madre was the greatest motion picture the studio ever made, was one of the first to see the value of letting directors take their show on the road.
Veteran director John Ford took his show on the road to his favorite location, Monument Valley in Utah, to shoot The Searchers, one of the classics of the American screen.
The film starred John Wayne, who had appeared in his first Warner Brothers Western in 1932. Wayne, giving one of his best performances, joined Jeffrey Hunter in a search for Natalie Wood and understanding.
Let's go home, Debbie.
Shooting on location and using local people as part of the background cast now enriches most Hollywood movies. The Nun Story with Audrey Hepburn was shot in Africa by Fred Zinnemann, one of the most honored directors in Hollywood history. Zinnemann's special ability in storytelling was nurtured by his previous experience as a documentary filmmaker. Director John Borman of England took a Warner Brothers crew to Clayton, Georgia, and captured dueling banjos as played by a local boy, Billy Redden, in the film Deliverance. Billy was joined on screen by Hollywood stars like John Voight, Ned Beatty, and Burt Reynolds. In 1983, Academy Award nominee Roland Joffe took his cameras to Southeast Asia to film the personal story of an American journalist engulfed by war.
Action!
Today, directors like Joffe, myself, and Clint Eastwood can shoot our pictures where they should be shot, and we get to do only the pictures we want to do.
Did you see that?
What was it, a rocket?
I don't know. I saw a guy on a motorbike.
In front of or behind the camera, my work here at Warner Brothers has been done under remarkably different circumstances than the actors and directors in the early days of the studio. They were all under long-term contracts. The infamous 7-year contract that Davis and de Havilland and Cagney and Bogart all fought against. Well, because of their efforts, actors today can sign for one picture and one of their own choosing. Why, back then, directors didn't even choose their own material. Very often getting a script on Friday and being asked to start on Monday. Elia Kazan was one of the first directors to break with those restrictions, working as an independent. For his 1951 film, he brought with him from Broadway a young actor the studio had originally turned down.
Marlon, what were the shows that you've done in New York? Name one or two for me.
I was in Canada with Catherine Cornell, and I was in Eagle Rampant with Tallulah Bankhead, and
I remember Mama.
with Sophie Rosenstein,
Not quite.
and
Truckline Cafe.
oh yeah, Truckline Cafe.
That's good enough. Now will you turn your head for us?
Sure.
And around the other way.
This screen test was made in 1947. Marlon Brando made his first picture for Warner Brothers and Kazan 4 years later, recreating his stage portrayal of Stanley Kowalski in A Streetcar Named Desire. Vivian Leigh played Blanche Dubois.
What did you do that for?
Oh, I could twist the broken end in your face.
But you would do that.
I would. How well have you?
Oh. Well, have a little rough house, huh? All right, let's have a little rough house. Tiger, rough them.
7, take 1, sound 6.
Elia Kazan, who directed Streetcar, also tested a number of young actors to play James Dean's brother in East of Eden.
Disappointed whether I go for the girls, though, you know.
Paul, you think the girls go for Jim?
Oh,
Look
great.
Size them up.
Kiss me.
Can't hear.
All right, look straight over there at the sound. That's it.
He's a surly bastard.
Exchange, he is nice.
What?
Okay. Exchange places. He's just doing his work. Turn places. You swap places.
Swap.
Turn my back to this
Now,
mother.
nose to nose. Look right at each other. Profile.
Yeah?
Okay, now right at the camera. All right, cut it.
Paul Newman didn't get to play Dean's brother. The role went to Dick Davalos. Jo Van Fleet would win an Academy Award for her performance as the boy's prostitute mother.
Mother, this is your other son, Aaron. Aaron? Say hello to your mother.
Say hello to your mother, Aaron.
James Dean made only 3 films in his short and fateful career, all for Warner Brothers, the last of which was Giant. George Stevens, a former cameraman, directed the legendary actor in the Edna Ferber classic. His co-stars were Rock Hudson and Elizabeth Taylor.
I'm a Richie.
Jack, we're real glad you struck him. Now you go on along home.
Oh my, you sure do look pretty, Miss Leslie. Just pretty nigh good enough to eat.
Wait a minute. Boy.
The film that seemed to burn its way into the moviegoer's psyche, however, was The Rebel Without a Cause. Its rebellious spirit seemed to capture the essence of the teenage generation. James Dean died in a tragic automobile accident at the age of 24. But after only 3 films, he became a mythical figure and one of the movie's most enduring icons. One of Dean's co-stars in Rebel was Natalie Wood. She was what you would call a Hollywood brat. The ill-fated actress, who also died young in a boating accident, grew up in the Warner lot. She made 12 films there, getting her first big chance to cross over from child actor to grown-up.
When I did Rebel Without a Cause, when I was a teenager, it was kind of hard to convince the producers that I was the right age. They still saw me in pigtails and like a little child, somebody's daughter. So I had to make a lot of screen tests for that. But that was a lucky picture because that part had such dimension to it, you know, more than the normal ingenue role for a 15-year-old girl. So I think that helped me get into more mature roles.
Warner Brothers Weekend continues in a moment on TNT. Want to be a hero?
No!
Want to travel like a hero?
Yes!
Then sign up for TNT and Mopar Express Lube's Hollywood Hero Sweepstakes.
Pay attention to orders.
All you have to do is watch Hollywood Heroes, a colossal collection of all-night adventure flicks for details on winning one of 4 grand prize vacations. You might win and never want to come home again. 10 nights of Hollywood Heroes. Every night on TNT. Pragos Piers looking at you, Warner Brothers, on TNT.
Natalie Wood played a role in bringing another bright young star to Warner Brothers. The year was 1965, the picture Inside Daisy Clover, the actor Robert Redford. Redford remembers how it all happened.
I was in the theater and she had seen a play that I was in and was interested in me in this part. I was certainly not known. I was not anybody that they could sell tickets with. So she had a lot to do with it.
Redford's career at Warner Brothers has spanned 2 decades. He later returned to the studio to act in and to produce the award-winning All the President's Men.
Where are you?
Stuck.
Forget the myths that the media's created about the White House. The truth is, these are not very bright guys, and things got out of hand.
I spent 3 years on All the President's Men. That was one of the most difficult projects I ever produced and worked on. But one I was completely committed to. And there was a big feeling about no one wanting to see it, no one wants to reactivate Watergate.
We got it!
Dustin Hoffman played Carl Bernstein. Redford played Bob Woodward.
I said if I get to 10 and you don't hang up, it's solid.
Did he confirm it? Absolutely. Got to tell Bradley.
The film earned 8 Academy Award nominations and won 4, including Best Screenplay for William Goldman.
Bernstein got another source.
The guy just is confirmed. Is any doubt we can run it tomorrow?
You don't have to. The story's solid. We're sure of it.
Okay, we go with it.
You're happy, Bud.
I guess so. I don't ask myself that question very often, though.
Another young actor got his start in a Natalie Wood movie. The movie was Splendor in the Grass, the actor Warren Beatty.
Gee, things work out awful funny sometimes, don't they, Danny?
Yes, they do.
Beatty later turned producer and star with Bonnie and Clyde.
Hey, boy, what you doing with my mama's car?
Beatty played Clyde, Faye Dunaway was Bonnie. He was nominated for an Oscar.
Wait there. Well, I'm Miss Bonnie Parker, and this here's Mr. Clyde Barrow. We rob banks.
Hey.
At about the same time Warren Beatty was recalling Warner Brothers' rich history of gangster movies, Paul Newman, who didn't get the part in East of Eden, was adding to the studio's lore of prison pictures. He gave one of his most memorable performances as the star of Cool Hand Luke. The film, written by Don Pierce and Frank Pearson, also became famous because of a line spoken by Strother Martin.
Never! Never! What we've got here is failure to communicate. Some men you just can't reach.
Also making movie history at the time was Elizabeth Taylor.
What a dump! Huh? What's that from?
I haven't the faintest idea.
Dumbbells. Some damn Betty Davis picture of some damn Warner Brothers epic.
Martha,
Taylor's performance opposite real-life husband Richard Burton won her a second Oscar.
I looked at you tonight and you weren't there. Snap! And I'm gonna howl it out! And I'm not gonna give a damn what I do, and I'm gonna make the biggest damn explosion you've ever heard.
try and I'll beat you at your own game.
Is that a threat, George, huh?
That's a threat, Martha.
You're gonna get it, baby.
Be careful, Martha. I'll rip you to pieces.
You're not man enough. You haven't the guts.
Go to war.
Total.
With the passing of long-term contracts, Warner's was now freer to recruit stars from other studios, like Judy Garland, who found a home at Warner's for her independent classic, A Star Is Born.
The night is bitter, the stars have lost their glitter, the winds grow colder, suddenly you're older, and all because of the man that got away.
In his last days at the studio, Jack Warner turned to big musicals to fight off television.
Make mine sarsaparilla.
He turned first to Doris Day, a popular big band singer, who quickly became the studio's biggest income producer.
Hey there, you with the stars in your eyes. Love never made a fool of you. You used to be too wise.
Jack Warner's days at the studio were nearing an end, and he went out making music. His last picture was Camelot, after which he sold the studio to Seven Arts. He said it wasn't fun anymore. He was 75 years old, and he'd run the studio for 55 years.
He was crushed. He didn't know what to do with himself. Running a studio was his life. And every day was New Year's Eve. You know, every day was a holiday when he was running the studio because things were happening constantly. What with signing new actors, new directors, new books, new plays. And he was a man of tremendous energy and tremendous adventure.
Don't let it be forgot that once there was a spot for one brief shining moment that was known as Camelot.
The day Jack Warner left the lot, a film student from USC began a 6-month internship at the studio.
Warner's presence was still there. He had left, but his presence was very much there. And so everybody was always talking about him and about the good old days and all that sort of thing. So it was great. It was an interesting time because it was, I don't know if that'll ever happen again, where you can sort of be in this giant old movie studio and not have anything going on and have the streets all empty and the offices all empty. And yeah, there were a few people there, but not very many. It was really an amazing time. It was very romantic in a kind of funny way.
Lucas interned on the only picture shooting on the lot at that time, another big musical, Finian's Rainbow. The director was 27-year-old Francis Ford Coppola.
We were both very young. Francis and I were the only ones on the set with beards. And Marty Scorsese was there. He was working as an editor. And, you know, once we started talking, we were both film students, so we talked film student talk.
With Jack gone and the other brothers dead, the studio faltered. And in 1969, Seven Arts sold out to Kinney and Stephen J. Ross. Ross started his first company, a limousine service, by borrowing his father-in-law's funeral parlor limos. Thus he began the same way as the Warner brothers. They had borrowed the chairs from the funeral parlor. Ross appointed a former top-flight agent, Ted Ashley, as head of the studio. Joining Ashley's leadership were 2 experienced film executives, Frank Wells and John Calley. The new production team quickly turned out a couple of hits, the first of which was Woodstock.
By the time we got to Woodstock, we were half in the snow.
Woodstock was the film of its generation, chronicling the events of a watershed movement in American history. A searching youth culture made its statement, and the Oscar-winning film echoed it. The top rock and folk performers of the era lent their voices to the celebration.
Shown by Cox, Country Joe, Crosby, Stills, Nash, Richie, Jimi Hendrix, and John Sebastian, Shania, Sly, and the Family Stone, The Who.
Following Woodstock, the studio turned out its top money earner to that time, a film that also won 10 Academy Award nominations.
You know what she did?
Right from the beginning, the new Warner Brothers team aligned itself with the best, like writer-producer-director Stanley Kubrick. In 1971, the fiercely independent Kubrick made A Clockwork Orange for Warner's. The complete filmmaker Kubrick would continue this relationship over 20 years. His movies, among the most distinguished released by the studio, have earned 12 Academy Award nominations.
Here's Johnny!
Johnny was played by Jack Nicholson. In his preparation to redo a scene with Shelley Duvall for The Shining, one can see the actor slowly yielding to the character's madness.
Well, wait for Shelley.
You just say that when you're ready, Sammy.
After many years of performing in relatively obscure B-movies, Jack Nicholson, a former MGM office boy, joined with Warner Brothers to make several films. In The Witches of Eastwick, he encountered the verbal abuse of Cher.
I am positive that you are the most unattractive man I have ever met in my entire life. You know, in the short time we've been together, you have demonstrated every loathsome characteristic of the male personality and even discovered a few new ones. You are physically repulsive, intellectually retarded, you're morally reprehensible, vulgar, insensitive, selfish, stupid. You have no taste, a lousy sense of humor, and you smell. You know, you're not even interesting enough to make me sick.
Would you like to be on the top or the bottom?
Goodbye, Daryl, and thank you for a lovely lunch.
Well, if that's the way you feel about it, that's the way you feel about it. Is that the way you feel about it?
Who are you?
Just your average, horny little devil.
Nicholson's Joker faced off against Michael Keaton's Caped Crusader in Batman, which became the highest-grossing film in the studio's history.
Hold on.
Get those wonderful toys. Warner Brothers Weekend continues in a moment.
Other films, Bob Daly, head of the studio since 1980, and Chief Operating Officer Terry Semmel have achieved successes consistent with J.L. and his brother's visions. The visions are the same, but the horizons are far greater.
When the Warner Brothers exhibited their first film in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, they may have sensed, but they could not have known just how big the audience for movies would become. Today, it's hard to believe, but Zulu tribesmen, Lapland reindeer herders, Bedouin camel traders, Arctic Circle Eskimos, Fiji Islanders, Balinese batik weavers, Manchurian cabbage growers, all have seen a Warner Brothers movie. Maybe even National Lampoon's Vacation movie.
A thing of glory for 1 million future generations to see. And we were here.
There are young kids in the Amazon and in the Sahara who walk and talk and move like Clint or Mel or other contemporary Warner Brothers stars. Warner Brothers men have always been tough, and their women tougher.
Of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, he walks into mine. Play a tram.
I don't,
You must remember this. A kiss is still a kiss. A sigh is just a sigh. The fun.
Barbara Streisand, who began as a switchboard operator and a theater usherette, won a Greenwich Village nightclub contest in the early 60s and quickly established herself as one of America's leading actresses, as well as a producer and a director.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just looking. Love means never having to say you're sorry.
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
In 1976, she made A Star Is Born. She would also co-write its Academy Award-winning song, Evergreen.
Soft as an easy chair. Love, fresh as the morning air. You and I will make each night a pearl. Every day I'll begin. Spirits rise and their dances unrehearsed. They warm and excite us, 'cause we have some
Warner Brothers women are tough, but they're also sexy and independent. The studio introduced one such sexy and independent young star in her screen debut.
We've had an extraordinary experience, and you'll be sharing it with us soon. We've discovered a new star. I've been working with new personalities for many years, but I doubt if I've ever found anyone with the youth, the beauty, and the talent of Jane Fonda.
Fonda made her debut in Tall Story in 1960. She won an Oscar in 1971 for her performance as a call girl in Trouble in CLINT.
What about this evening, the old man?
You saw that? Damn you! He's 70 years old. His wife is dead. He's been cutting garments since he was 14, and he never lays a hand on me. What harm is there in that? And what's your bag, Clute? What do you like? You a talker? A button freak? You like to have your chest walked around with high-heel shoes? Maybe you like to have us wash your tinkle? What about you?
Me? I need tending. I need someone to take care of me, someone to rub my tired muscles, smooth out my sheets.
Get married.
I just need it for tonight.
Oh, nice move, Maddie.
Maddie, I like it. Straight over your heart.
At least it's cool. I was burning up.
I asked you not to talk about the heat.
Why don't you get me a paper towel or something? Dip it in some cold water.
Right away, I'll even wipe it off for you.
You don't want to lick it?
Kathleen Turner began her career in a television soap. Goldie Hawn began hers in a TV comedy as a ditzy blonde in Laugh-In. A former can-can dancer at the 1964 World's Fair, Goldie has made 5 movies with the studio, including Private Benjamin.
I think they sent me to the wrong place.
Uh-huh.
See, I did join the army, but I joined a different army. I joined the one with the condos and the private rooms.
Get your ass up and out on the company street! Up, down, up, down, up, down, up!
What is this, Hell Week?
Hobson,
Yeah?
do you know what I'm going to do?
No, I don't.
I'm going to take a bath.
I'll alert the media.
Warner Brothers' 1980 comedies included class acts, like putting together a piano player and a Shakespearean actor.
Do you want to run my bath for me?
It's what I live for.
Dudley Moore plays the sophisticated, oft-inebriated Arthur. Sir John Gielgud, his butler.
Perhaps you'd like me to come in there and wash your for you, you little...
Another kind of comedy, one mixed with horror, was Tim Burton's Beetlejuice, starring Michael Keaton.
Babs.
Boy, do you know how to pick 'em. Let me ask you something. Is this relationship really solid? Do I have a shot at her at all? Excuse me. Sure. Am I overstepped my bounds? Just tell me. Come on. Don't you hate it when that happens? Let's go, Barbara. Wait.
The 1980s began for Warner Brothers not with a comedy star, but with a comic book hero. The studio turned to one of its sister companies and brought Superman to the screen. Christopher Reeve doubled as Clark Kent and the Man of Steel.
The hell's that?
Margot Kidder played Lois Lane.
Easy, miss. I've got you.
You've got me! Who's got you?
Superman's director, Dick Donner, later turned his attention to another kind of superhero for the studio. A suicidal cop whose recklessness transforms him into a lethal weapon.
Now, you can jump if you want to, but you'll be taking me with you, and that makes you a murderer. Okay? Come on, let's go back.
You bastard!
Yeah, you'll be killing a cop. Now,
Yeah, I'll be killing a psycho nut cop!
Yeah, psycho, but I'm still a cop. You coming in? Come on, I'm going in.
I'm jumping! Do you really want to jump? Do you want to? Well, then that's fine with me. Come on.
Let's do it, asshole. Let's
Wait a
do
minute.
it.
What?
I want to do it. I want to do it.
What do you mean?
Mel Gibson, the American-born actor who first found success in Australia, played the lethal weapon. His co-star was Danny Glover. They and director Dick Donner have worked together on all the Lethal Weapon movies. Donner puts on the screen the traditional Warner Brothers values. His films resonate with Harry's dictum to make them important, Jack's to make them entertaining, and Abe's to make them money. Donner senses what it means to be a Warner Brothers director.
Great, print, both of them prints. Next setup. Sure, there's a little spine-tingling chill that goes down your back when you think I am now a director at Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers, I mean, you know, they're not cough drops. And it's a very inspiring thought that you are part of a great period of American history, is the motion picture industry.
As directors became more important to the process of making movies, Warner Brothers kept its eyes open for the better young people like Batman's director, Tim Burton, and before him, Martin Scorsese. Scorsese began his career on the lot as a film editor in 1969. He directed his first important picture for the studio in 1973. The film was Mean Streets, and it became a signature film for the brash, streetwise New York director. It starred Bob De Niro, an actor critics once described as having the kind of face you can't remember. Scorsese and motion picture audiences all over the world did remember that face. De Niro became one of the world's biggest stars and a Scorsese favorite.
He's gone. He's gone. That's it. That's it. That's it.
17 years after Mean Streets, De Niro, who has been nominated for 5 Academy Awards, winning 2, starred in Scorsese's Goodfellas. Actors and directors can now choose to be affiliated with a studio for special projects. No relationship between director and studio for special projects is quite like that which exists between Warner Brothers and Steven Spielberg. Spielberg, as both producer and director, has been associated with Warner Brothers on a dozen films.
Until you do right by me, everything you think about is gonna crumble. Don't do it, Miss Celia. Don't trade places with what I've been through.
Come on, Miss Celia. Let's go to the car.
He ain't worth it. He ain't worth it.
Who you think you is? You can't curse nobody. Look at you. You're black, you're poor, you're ugly, you're a woman, you're nothing at all.
Till you do right by me, everything you even think about gonna fail.
It's been a pleasure meeting all of you. Bye.
Warner Brothers Weekend continues in a moment on TNT.
Once upon a time, you could say a name like Bette Davis or Humphrey Bogart, and that name would conjure up Warner Brothers. Today, Clint Eastwood's name has that same effect. He has been associated with the studio since his television days as a young actor. As a director and star, Clint Eastwood has had a profound effect on the destiny of the studio.
Will you come here for a second?
His directorial efforts have included action pictures and sensitive portraits of artists like Charlie Parker.
Thunder. Ooh.
A former logger, steel furnace stoker, and gas station attendant, Eastwood has made over 20 movies for Warner Brothers, many of them among the studio's top grossers.
You'll be 10 bears?
I am 10 bears.
I ain't promising you nothing extra. I'm just giving you life and you're giving me life. And I'm saying that men can live together without butchering one another.
It shall be life.
As an actor, Eastwood made an indelible mark in 5 Dirty Harry movies.
You're a walking friggin' combat zone. People have a nasty habit of getting dead around you.
You're a dinosaur, Callahan. Your ideas don't fit today.
Everywhere you go, something gets smashed or somebody gets killed.
Go ahead. Make my day.
I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I've kind of lost track myself. But Ian, this is a .44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off. You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Hey,
I got to know.
There are those of us who are privileged to appear in or to conceive the images that take shape on the big screen in movie theaters throughout the world. In light and in shadows, we perhaps help give shape to the dreams of others. Warner Brothers, beginning with 4 men, helped shape the dreams of America. There was Sam Warner, who believed you could dare the impossible, and Abe, who knew the meaning of keeping your feet on the ground, and Harry, who very early on sensed the power of the screen to help change the world, and Jack, JL, whose passion it was to make sure movies gave us a good time. They made us laugh, sing, dance, cry. They all started it. Now the men and women who share their commitment to making good movies continue it. They continue it by being in touch not only with today, but with history. On June 2nd, 1990, Warner Brothers got in touch with that history by hosting one of Hollywood's most extraordinary parties. Over 1,000 members of the Warner family, past and present, attended. The purpose of the party was to rename the studio lot, which had been changed to the Burbank Studios. It also celebrated a tradition of excellence. Among the Warner Brothers stars returning home was President Ronald Reagan, welcomed by producer David L. Wolper. It was a night to remember. The backbone of the studio is its people, its family of executives, producers, directors, writers, technicians. They're all part of the Warner Brothers tradition. But finally, what remains is what's on the screen, the images of the great stars.
be induced to arrange a passage.
My letter of transit? I could use a trip. It doesn't make any difference about our bet. You still owe me 10,000 francs.
And that 10,000 francs should pay our expenses.
Our expenses?
Mm-hmm.
Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.